La Casa de los Espiritus. Isabel Allende was born in Lima, Peru in 1942. She's a Chilean writer that is very famous in the Spanish literature world. She's well known for her novels La Casa de los Espiritus and La Ciudad de las Bestias. In 2010, she had won Chile's National Literature Prize for her works. Allende writes using the concept of magical realism. Most of her novels are from personal experience, realism, mixed with myths, magical. Allende's second language is English. She has done many tours in the United States, and in 2003 she was granted citizenship. She now lives in California with her American husband, William Gordon. La Casa de los Espiritus was Isabel Allende's novel that pushed her into literary stardom. The novel was released in 1982 in Barcelona and became a huge success. Although many critics disliked Allende's work and constantly compared her to Garcia Marquez, the novel won Best Novel of the Year in Chile. The story covers the life of Trueba family throughout 4 generations in Latin American country during social and political times. The narrators of the story are Esteban, first generation, and Alba, 4th generation. 14 chapters and 433 pages of magical realism, the novel consists of 29 different characters. I'm going to focus on the main characters and give a little bit of information to avoid any confusion. Esteban Trueba, as one of the narrators of the story, he is the head of the Tres Marias, the hacienda he built. Once kept to marry Rosa the Beautiful, but dies before they can do so. Later in the novel he marries Clara instead. Esteban earns his fortune through hard work and violence. He is ultra-conservative in his political views and causes strain on his family and himself because of his ill-mannered temper. Clara, the younger sister of Rosa the Beautiful. Clara has supernatural powers and can predict the future. She predicts Rosa's death and her marriage to Esteban. She holds her family together with great strength and patience, but swears to never to speak to Esteban again when he hits her and abuses their daughter. Blanca, the daughter of Clara and Esteban. She falls deeply in love with Pedro Segundo's son. Pedro Segundo is the caretaker of Tres Marias. Once her father discovers their secret meetings, he forbids them to see each other and sends her away to a boarding school. She fakes an illness and returns home. She winds up pregnant with her lover's child and is forced to marry a French count when she learns her father killed her lover. Pedro Tercero, the son of Pedro Segundo. He's a revolutionary and a songwriter. He falls deeply in love with Blanca and gets her pregnant. He is forced to leave Tres Marias when Blanca's father learns of their affair. He joins the government once the socialists take power. Esteban Garcia, the bastard child of Esteban and Pancha. Pancha was raped by Esteban Trueba, and in result she gets pregnant. Esteban Garcia returns frequently to Tres Marias and tries to get money and attention from his biological father, but fails for his father refuses to acknowledge him. He joins the military and fights the socialists in office. Alba, the daughter of Blanca and Pedro. She reunites the family and narrates the story. The story begins with the Valle family. The oldest daughter, Rosa, the Beautiful, is going to marry Esteban Trueba. But because Esteban has little money, he sets off to work in the mines so that he could make enough to provide for his soon-to-be wife. During the time that he is away, Clara, Rosa's younger sister, predicts that a death is going to occur in the family fairly soon. Rosa accidentally gets killed by drinking poison that was intended for her father, who was running for Senate. Clara refuses to ever speak to anyone again, and Esteban is so heartbroken that he dedicates his life to rebuilding his family home, Tres Marias. He is very successful through hard work and violence. He rapes a peasant girl named Pancha, and she becomes pregnant to Esteban's unawareness. Esteban returns to the city to see his mother before she dies, and decides to fulfill her wish for him to be married. He asks for Clara's hand in marriage, and she accepts. Once they are married, Ferrula, Esteban's sister, moves in with them at Tres Marias. Esteban becomes so jealous of Clara and Ferrula's relationship that he throws his sister out of the house. Ferrula eventually dies alone in a poor neighborhood. Clara focuses on her psychic powers and begins bringing artists and spirits into their home. Clara soon gives birth to their daughter and names her Blanca, and later she has twin boys, and names them Jaime and Nicolas. The family stays in the city most of the year and at Tres Marias during the summer. Blanca meets and falls in love with Pedro Tercero, the caretaker of Tres Marias' son. Her father forbids this and sends Blanca to a boarding school. She fakes an illness and returns home. Her and Pedro secretly meet, and he takes her virginity. Her father finds out and threatens Pedro's life, but only cuts off 3 of his fingers. He is forced to leave. Esteban whips Blanca for her actions. When Clara learns, she expresses horror, and then Esteban hits her in the mouth. Clara swears to never to speak to him again, and moves back to the city. Blanca is then forced to marry a French count when she learns that her father had killed Pedro. Jaime and Nicolas both begin a frivolous relationship with a woman named Amanda. When Amanda learns she is pregnant with Nicolas's child, she asks Jaime, because he's a doctor, to help her terminate the pregnancy. He agrees. Later in the story they meet up again, and Jaime begins a relationship with her, even though he does not love her. Nicolas is told to leave by his father, and he moves away. He disappears from the story after that. Blanca leaves the French count and searches for Pedro again. He and Blanca get back together, and he suspects that Alba is his child. Esteban Trueba moves back to the city with Clara, and although she doesn't speak to him, she is kind and warm. Clara eventually dies, and Esteban is devastated. When Alba gets older, she goes to a college and meets Miguel. Clara predicted that Alba and Miguel would fall in love when Alba was born. Miguel is a revolutionary, and Alba supports his view. She protests against the conservative government and celebrates when the Social Party wins. Esteban and his political friends start a military group to start the Socialist Party, but the military group grows out of control and begins killing the supporters of the Socialist Party. Jaime is killed by the conservative power, and Esteban helps Blanca and Pedro flee the country to go to Canada. Alba is kidnapped and is under the hand of Esteban Garcia, who tortures and abuses Alba repeatedly for information on Miguel. He then rapes her, remembering how her grandfather raped his mother. Alba waits for death, but Clara comes to her and tells her to hope for life. Esteban Trueba finds a way to free Alba through an old prostitute that he used to sleep with when he was younger. Esteban ends up dying in the arms of his granddaughter, with the comfort that Clara has forgiven him. Alba then passes the time writing a book while she waits for Miguel to return home and for the birth of her child. The film is similar to the novel, but very different when it comes to the characters. In the novel, Clara marries Esteban because she knows it is her destiny, but in the film, she realizes that she's in love with him from the moment she saw him as a child when he asked for her sister's hand in marriage. Also, in the novel, Clara gave birth to twin boys after Blanca, but in the film, she only had Blanca. The novel is narrated by Esteban and Alba, but in the film, Blanca is the narrator. The film has all the experiences that Alba shares in the novel, only it occurs with Blanca. Alba never grows up in this film. Miguel doesn't even exist. Blanca is the one who is tortured and raped by Esteban Garcia. Esteban sends Pedro to Canada before Blanco, and later, her and Alba with. The film really cuts a lot out from the novel. Although the novel has more detailed and a continued story, the film is very good. The film was 130 minutes without all of the information and the true storylines from the novel. If the film followed the novel completely, it would have been a 4-hour movie. Both media were very good, and I suggest that reading and/or watching the film would be enjoyable for all. The cast from the film consists of Jeremy Irons as Esteban Trueba, Meryl Streep as Clara, Winona Ryder as Blanca, Glenn Close as Ferrula, and Antonio Banderas as Pedro Teixeira.
Ahora yo soy el patrón. A quien no le guste puede irse inmediatamente. A los que os quedéis nos faltará comida, pero tendréis que trabajar duro.
Has venido a pedirme que me case contigo, ¿verdad?
Oh, Clara.
Mamá, quiero saberlo. No quiero perder el tiempo.
También me gusta que las cosas sean directas.
Nosotras dos vamos a ser como hermanas. Y nuestra amistad durará el resto de nuestras vidas. No es culpa de Clara. Es mi hermano. Él desea mucho más que solo su cuerpo. Quiere poseer lo más secreto que ella tiene en su interior. Él está condenado eternamente.
Quiero que salgas de esta casa ahora mismo. No quiero verte nunca más.
Yo te maldigo, Esteban. Siempre estarás solo.
No quiero volver a ver nunca más a tu hijo con Blanca. ¿Entendido?
¡Blanca! ¡Pedro!
No somos solo tú y yo.
No me importa lo que piense mi familia. Yo te quiero y tú a mí.
Dime dónde está ese cabrón. ¡Le mataré! ¡Dime dónde está!
¡Jamás te lo diré!
No puedes evitar que el mundo cambie, Esteban.
Los terratenientes dependen de vosotros.
¡Nunca te librarás de nosotros, Esteban!
La oposición ha logrado una victoria aplastante. ¿Quién cree usted que fue? El que estableció contacto con sus generales.
Estos hombres son peligrosos. Pueden matarme, pueden matarte a ti, matarnos a todos.
Cuyo dinero y reputación garantizó sus armas.
¿Quién es usted? Conozco su voz.
Imagina, tenemos la misma sangre.
Y yo aún le quiero.
¿Sabe usted quién soy yo?
Él es mi vida.
Meryl Streep. Glenn Close. Jeremy Irons. Winona Ryder. Antonio Banderas.
Debes luchar para vivir.
La Casa de los Espíritus.